the director, Heidi Saman. And Steve, Karim Saleh. He's here, isn't he? I saw him before the film. He snuck out. Okay, maybe he's going to swing around. Producer, Matthew Keene Smith. And director of photography and producer, Dawn Chanet. And his friend. Well, congratulations, everybody. I'm going to start with some background, which, if you're not familiar, this will catch you up. This film got the LA News Award at the 2016 LA Film Festival. And it was picked up, as you know, by Ava DuVernay's grassroots collective, Array. And this is the 15th acquisition for Array. And it is Heidi's directorial debut. Now, Heidi comes from the world of public radio, specifically Fresh Air, and she's got a lot of really interesting stories about that to tell. But we'll focus on this film because something that I thought was really compelling about the way that Array looked at this film was, in Tulane Jones's words, a sparse and stylized homage to Los Angeles that explores the complexities of personal responsibility versus moral convictions. And this Arab immigrant family, the portrayal of it, the frustrations and the anxiety, is heartfelt yet elegantly understated. I think that's a beautiful way to describe what we just saw. So I'll begin now with asking you to elaborate a bit on why you wanted to make a film like this, and what was the reason that you chose to tell this type of story this type of way?
Yeah, so I am from the Orange County area and have family in Los Angeles, but I had been away from Los Angeles for now 13 years. And I think when you're away from a city, when you're away from a place, that's the time when you have some perspective on it and you can really tell the story of that place. And so I felt like I had something to say about Los Angeles after 13 years. And I also just wanted to tell a story of a guy who was really trying to figure out his life, which I felt was a lot of my 20s, which was sort of being overwhelmed by possibility. You can do anything, you're young, so many things can happen, yet nothing's happening. Why does this feel so weird? Why does this feel so awkward? And I was also thinking of the 2008 recession and what it must be like for graduates, for men kind of coming out of that, thinking like, okay, I have all this education, the world is before me, and now there's a recession. What do I do? And so I liked the conflict of possibility meeting, the recession, possibility meeting, just inexperience, all of that, and the frustration behind that.
I'm going to have you elaborate a little bit on the binary idea, or to go against that in representing the immigrant experience.
Yeah, well, so I just felt like the immigrant film can often be tied into a genre that's like a shaky camera and it's gritty and, they're caught between two cultures, and I just thought, that really doesn't have to be the way we see these things. I thought, why not show a film that's about someone trying to figure out his life, his background, his culture is not foregrounded, it's not the identity conflict, it's just who he is. And he's a person and he has problems like everybody else. And I thought, what better way to do that? And Dawn and I talked about this, just a steady, meditative camera that doesn't move when it doesn't have to, that's really about the stirrings of Stephen, about what's sort of quietly stirring in him, that angst that's kind of quietly rising. And that's why we thought to sort of shoot it in the way we did, which was sort of let the moments breathe, let us focus on, on Stephen's face, on what's happening internally.
Right. which will take me to Korea. Beautiful performance. Congratulations. It really does rest on you and in you. And I was reading about your background, and you've had, we get gifts as actors sometimes, and I imagine that a role like this really is a gift, especially this time in your life, because you grew up on the East and West Bank of Beirut, and then lived in a big metropolitan city of London when you went to study there, and then have worked on really large productions. One of his first films was a Merchant Ivory production, so that's fancy pants, and Munich with Spielberg, and an Emmy-nominated film with a female director, which I think is something that counts, and I would like to address that a little later. But the thing that drew me to this for you and looking at your body of work is how you might have looked at the responsibilities and opportunities of a scale like this for a film. And also, when you finish that up, I want to follow it up with another question.
The responsibilities and the opportunity. Well, I was drawn because the way Heidi and I met. Heidi immediately pitched the film to me in a way that was extremely intelligent, and I understood that not only was she able to articulate her concept in a way that was minimalistic and direct, but she had a very clear vision of what it was, and she sort of handed me the part without testing me. And I love not being tested. And the moment somebody entrusts me with something, it starts growing for some reason, because it felt serendipitous, and it felt, I felt validated as a choice. And then when I went into it, I didn't feel so much the fear of carrying a movie, or the fear of channeling Heidi's voice, because the way that I was invited was so elegant and direct that I had already felt that it was part of the process from the moment that we spoke the first time, and then it just grew organically.
And that's subtle and so meaningful. That's true partnership.
Yeah, I think an approach is an essential, very fragile moment in the beginning of something. And the beginning of something is essential, and Heidi set me off on that journey in a very subtle way, but with a lot of trust.
That's lovely. Well, speaking of trust and what it means to have that, taking that big leap, the actress that plays Namour, this was her first film role. And it's because she's not an actress, not just because she'd never been cast, but because she was not even considering being an actress. Will you tell us a little bit about, and I want to make sure I say her name right, is it Wadib?
Wadab.
Wadab, yeah. And what it was like for you to work with a first-time actor.
So casting Namour was difficult. I've said this before, but believe it or not, there are not a lot of 80-year-old Arab women running around in Hollywood. It's hard to find, so we had some trouble. And I reached out to some family friends. I said, look, we need to cast this part. Does anyone have some suggestions? And someone suggested, she said, my mom is about to retire. She was a physicist, she's an astrophysicist. She's been working for JPL, essentially working for NASA, and she said, I think she might have some time. I think maybe she could do this. And I thought, why not? So I met with her at her house, and we just had a meal and a chat. And working with actors is different than working with non-actors. You just sort of try to get to know them and sort of build that trust, but in a different way. You don't really talk about process too much. And I really have to credit Karim, because I think the next meeting you came over for dinner. We just kept going to her house for dinner, and so then you came and you just really, I don't know, you did a lot of great things in terms of just engaging with her and conversing and getting in some arguments, which is, I don't know, not many people upon first meeting would go there, and you just did, and I could tell, and I knew that was because you were trying to build the character, the relationship, and it was really beautiful to see, because then she wasn't even thinking about, can I do this part? She was just having an argument with you, And all of a sudden it was a good moment. It's like, that's the moment. That's what we're looking for on camera.
Yeah. A lot of times, in order to build a relationship in a film, you have to skip a lot of the social conventions and politeness and etc. And my grandmother, my real grandmother, is a very strong woman and very smart woman. She was a member of parliament when I was a kid. And so when I saw my dad, I immediately wanted to re-establish that relationship I had with my own grandma. And one of the fundamentals of my relationship with my grandma was the fact that I was terrible, but that she forgave me. So I proceeded to making myself as terrible as possible with the real dad, and then finding little ways of redeeming myself by either being affectionate or polite suddenly, or by surprising her. But I wanted it to be all built on a bed of, you know, like this kind of like love, but where it becomes unconditional because you have to forgive the person over and over again. So when I met her, I started that process immediately. And I trusted that she was intelligent, and I trusted that Heidi's universe is intelligent, and I trusted that because of everyone's intelligence, I could play those games that may be manipulative, but that I could get away with them at the same time.
Very stealth. Incredibly successful, because she is luminous in that role. She's just that internal truth, and just the center, the stillness within her is really remarkable. I was blown away when I realized and read that it was her first time ever on camera. It's just credit to all of you. Dawn, I'd like to ask a little bit about capturing the film on camera. Heidi, you addressed this in some of the interviews, but I'd like to hear you elaborate a bit on the wide-angle approach and how that came to you, the significance of it.
Hi, everyone.
She's also a producer on the film.
I want to say one thing. A shout out to Sergio, who remixed the sound on this film. It sounded so good. Thank you. It's nice to get to make a film with Heidi anytime. I've shot all of her films. But she's willing to make confident choices and stick to them. So we'll develop a language and constraints and ideas, and then we both know going in almost exactly what's going to happen. So when we talked about how to shoot this main character, you'll notice he's framed by everything he doesn't have, or by the women in his life, or the way his friends surround him, or it's always about Stephen. Where is he in the frame? Yeah. So, and I think watching it tonight, I was telling Heidi in the back that there's a lot of tension in letting a still wide shot play, and it's uncomfortable. I had a crazy day at work today, and I felt my city energy like calming down watching this film, because to let things just go is a really fun choice to make.
Right, and that leads me to another aspect of what you just said and the film itself, the character of Los Angeles. I know you said you wanted to come back and capture it because you had a different perspective, but something that I felt watching it was the loneliness within this big city, and the way that you captured that, whether it was on the LA River sequence, by that on the beach, and I wonder how difficult that is to do when you're a team of people, you know, when you're, what it is that gives you the confidence that you can create that loneliness within this big, busy place.
The shot at the beach at night is one of my favorites, if not my favorite, and we, in that case and a few other cases, we kept it small. Just a few people went out there, and so the energy was quiet, and we were tired. You know, it was late.
That was the martini shot of the whole film.
Yeah. But, you know, I think the crew was amazing, and I think people were really respectful and knew to just let these things happen so that Karim could get in his headspace, or, you know.
Right, that's a gift too. So Matthew, a little more nuts and bolts. How many days were you on this?
18 days. I think we did, like, I don't know how many locations. Something like 24, 25 locations in 18 days.
Wow. And you were part of this development process, or did she come to you?
She came to me with the script. She had this guy, she had Dawn. She had a lot of the movie going, you know, but she didn't quite know, I don't know. We made a start date really fast, then we did it. I don't know. She needed someone in LA. She lives in Philly. We spoke on the phone for months and months, and we finally met in person 3 weeks before the shoot at my house while we interviewed like half of the crew. And yeah, we did lots of nuts and bolts.
And this is a Kickstarter supported film, which is always encouraging. And something that I thought was interesting about your background is you've worked with a lot of heavy hitters, and you've also had films with other array filmmakers.
Yes.
Yeah, which is great.
Which is amazing. Yeah.
Right, to have that relationship. But I thought your background as a programmer at Slamdance was interesting, and I'm wondering how that informs your choices and how it educates you to be better at what you do.
Shout out to Slamdance.
You know what Slamdance is?
She's an alumni too, right? Her short film played there. And of course, my friends Jason and Marie are here.
Maybe they don't know. Would you explain Slamdance?
Slamdance is a really amazing festival. It takes place in Park City every year at the same time as Sundance. It was created by 4 filmmakers back in the 90s who, didn't get their films into Sundance, but they still wanted to have some fun. At first, they just, they would have these small screenings, people would come, but it's really grown into a real family. It really reminds me a lot of being with Array, people at Slamdance. A lot of them are first-time filmmakers. I was a short film programmer there, and Slamdance very much is looking for new things. If it's going to play at Sundance, it's not really what they want to find. And so when you get to be a programmer, you can watch 200, 300, 400 shorts in a year, and yeah, you kind of learn a lot. And inspired from ones that you don't like, sometimes even you learn a lot. And then of course you get to sit for 2 weekends for 12 hours a day for 4 days going over all the films to decide which ones you're going to show. And it's really an amazing experience, especially when they're first-time filmmakers and you get to go and introduce their film at the festival. And it's like tonight for me, it's one of the great days of your life. And it's really inspiring to see. Slamdance is very much, it's a real cool place. I mean, if you're ever in Park City, you got to check it out.
Or if you're a filmmaker.
Yeah, if you're a filmmaker, you want to send them your film. And yeah, we played the first film that I did with Array called Big Words. We premiered there. And it was an amazing experience. You not just get to show your film, but you get to meet all the other filmmakers. And I've gone on, I got to make a film with my friend Marie and Jason, who actually met there, got engaged there this year on the stage, and that's the kind of special place it is.
Wow.
Really cool.
That's great. No
And Lena Dunham shouted it out in Girls the other night. I don't know if you guys heard that, but little slam shout.
Fantastic.
And she showed her first short film there too.
So, if you don't know about it, now you know why it's beloved. Maybe this is a good time to open this up to questions. The lights are coming up. Great. Yes? Do you think you need this?
I'll project. It's fine.
Okay, yeah, we can hear you. We can.
So, as an Egyptian American myself, this was sort of like a nostalgia piece. So it was really cool to watch, and I really enjoyed it. I'm wondering, Karim, are you Lebanese as well?
Yeah.
Okay, and Egyptian?
No, I'm
just
Lebanese. I'm a French citizen, but I grew up in Beirut.
Okay, that's crazy because your Arabic is like so close to Egyptian Arabic. It's like I could understand it completely.
Thanks.
Yeah, I know. It's just crazy to me. My question is there a particular reason you chose to make them Coptic? Because with the cross on the head. And all those scenes with the Teta, by the way, it was just like my life growing up. Giving me money constantly, and you have to be like, no. Trying to feed me all the time, like, oh, I'm already full. But, yeah.
That's great to hear. Did everyone hear the question? He was just asking why we chose the family to make the family Coptic Christian, and there is a reason for that. The reason is that my family is Coptic Christian, so my dad was Coptic Egyptian, just Egyptian Coptic. There's a big tension here, but what I liked about this film is we didn't really carry that tension into this piece because they're immigrants, they're American, they don't have that baggage anymore. But thank you for noticing. If that big old cross in Grandma's convalescent home didn't give it away. That's what it was.
When she did the Salib on his forehead.
On the
Yes,
forehead.
that too.
That,
Yes.
yeah, that's
My
like
mother was doing it to me in my sleep with oil when I was a teenager, and I would get pimples from it.
That's lovely. That's sad. Another question? Well, you started something that I'll riff on here, because I wouldn't be surprised if somebody does have the question. And it's actually addresses something that you said in an article about how when you started to make this film, it didn't feel as political as it might now because of the culture or the climate that our culture is in now. And would you speak to that a bit?
Yeah, you know, this film is the time, you can't control the timing of things, and I certainly didn't anticipate when we made the film in 2014 that we would be on, you know, we would have the president we would have, and not only that, but just the kind of policies that have been attempted to be initiated. I guess one of them might be happening at midnight tonight, but anyhow, so I didn't know, and I think the film does become political as a result of what's happening, but I was thinking about, you know, if anyone has seen the film by Raoul Peck, I'm Not Your Negro, the documentary that just came out, something that Baldwin talks about is just, you know, all images are political. And I thought, well, if you haven't seen a family like this in cinema, you know, and I know I'm not the first to do it, but an Arab American family that's just living their lives and trying to do that, if you haven't seen that in your 20, 25, 40, maybe 50 years of watching movies, then why is that? You know, why is that? So in some sense, it was political from the beginning, I think, you know, because we're used to seeing certain things get made because, and they get made repeatedly for specific reasons, for financial reasons. And so I think when a film like this does get made, it does kind of stand up against that and say, why, well, I can exist too, and why haven't I existed? So, yeah,
Right.
Definitely not the first, but I hope I'm not the last, you know.
Anybody else with a question? Yes?
Yeah, what is it funny? How much did it cost to make it? How much did you raise on Kickstarter?
We raised $26,000 on Kickstarter, and we made the film. And by the way, there are some Kickstarter supporters here. I see y'all. So,
right
thank you so
on.
much for supporting. And my brother, who supported me on the Kickstarter.
You guys got a front row seat.
Yeah. And we made the film, I'll be elegant about this, we made the film for under $200,000. Is that okay? Is that an elegant way to say that?
I
Yeah.
wish I had to. I mean, people ask about the budget of these films all the time, and, you know, as a filmmaker, you always want to know. But as a producer, I kind of don't like to tell people, because a lot of the work that was put into this film was volunteers. They were friends. They were crew that took a rate that, you know, was not worthy of them to come and work with Heidi to make this film. And the actors that we get that do films like Munich, that do, you know, they have lots of opportunities, but this was a special thing for them. So, you know, if you add up all the cost of all the love and gifts that we got, you know, this movie would have cost $1 million.
Right.
And it's really a credit to the crew and the cast and all the people that came out. I mean, we had over 40 speaking parts, there were over 100 extras, family and friends, and they're all in the film. A lot of our crew's in the film. I'm pretty sure every car from, well, your car's in the film probably. We didn't rent a single car on this film. And we put together this valet, which was, you know, Dawn and Heidi would get together with Regine an hour before to figure out how we're gonna move all these cars around, and they did it. They would show up like way before call time, and there'd be like a core group with Shar and everyone. You guys really, you got it done. Yeah, my children are in the film, playing soccer with this guy. And
That was some mad
boy,
stuff you were showing.
yeah, they're on Netflix now, so they got a little big head. But you know, they were just on set because my beautiful wife was shooting commercials in Miami for the first week, and I'm a stay-at-home dad, and so they were just on set. And Dawn and Heidi decided they're gonna have them run around and do something. It was that kind of movie, though. You know, everyone pitched in, and even the young PAs.
Yeah, yes, Dawn?
Oh, I was just gonna say, even tonight, I have friends and coworkers here. I have like 5 coworkers that were valets, you know, and Ruben is here that I work with. He played baller number 2. He got out of the car first. My friend Val, she painted some of the artwork that's in some of the sets. JR was a valet, and I actually work in motion graphics, and after in post-production, we even had help pro bono. JR like looks at the camera once. I don't know if I can say this, but he fixed his own face. He moved his pupils so that he's not looking at the camera anymore. And I went up to him at work and I was like, JR, you gotta help me do the VFX. He has some cleanup stuff. He's like, I'll help you. And I was like, you have to fix your face.
Did you agree?
And Manny too, Manny's here.
Is it better?
Fix my face.
It's better.
Better now, so much better.
Well, I gotta say, Matthew, that's the first time I've ever really understood why producers or filmmakers are coy when they talk about the budget. It's always sort of eluded me because we talk about what we pay for everything else, but that's really important to understand, that you can't assume the value of a film based on what you get for free that is based on relationships. Right. And the commitment to a project that people feel strongly about. And that's insight, folks. You're not going to hear that every year. That's really good. Yes.
Can you give us three ideas about having a successful Kickstarter campaign?
Yes. I've often said that it's like running for office because you gotta dig. Like you cannot be shameful. Like you can't be ashamed of begging, asking, sending 5 emails to the same person. Like just get ready to lose ego. Get ready to lose it. But the 3 things I would suggest is 1, find 10 allies. And those 10 allies should not be in fields connected to you. They should be in 10 different fields. Legal, doctor, like find those people who will have your back and they will go out and raise money for you, but they are in different fields so they can reach out to their networks. So be like varied in that, you know? Don't just choose people who make films because let's be honest, they don't have money. Like, yeah, they don't, we don't. The second thing would be, don't plan it for more than 30 days. I think it should be under 30. I just have a feeling about that. I think it should be quick. Like keep it in the 25 to 28. I think it's like there's momentum there. Don't be sad when it kind of lulls week 2.5, week 3. That's normal. And I would also pre-plan prizes to give away, like week 1, week 2, week 3. Find sponsors early on and tell them, like, can you guys be willing to do this week 1 if we raise this much money? But plan those before you do the campaign. And so get your allies with you before you start. Does that help?
Yeah.
That's gold. That is gold that you just did. That's beautiful. Any other questions? I see the back row, yeah?
What was the biggest obstacle you guys faced, and how did you guys overcome it?
Matt, Dawn?
I feel like we all have different answers.
Yeah, you would. So do you want to start?
And Karim, my God, I don't even know.
Mine is waking up early. I don't like 6 a.m. golf.
It is hard. I know. It is hard. And you have to be in that emotional state early.
Yeah, but it helps. There's always a serendipitous weird thing on film where some days you're tired and for some reason it gives you more access to your emotion.
True.
Sometimes you're angry and suddenly this is what you need to use. I've always trusted the process so much that I've always recycled my emotions around the work. So I don't really mind 6 a.m. calls, but it's tough to wake up.
Yeah.
The restaurant, we shot at a location that was bare and had to get dressed and shot and then clean back up, put back to normal in the same day. And we needed to fill it with people who were eating at the restaurant. And I mean, it was a Hail Mary. Craigslist is amazing and also terrifying. Like, people came that were so sweet, but also, you know,
Very strange.
yeah, like one One guy ran there. He was 2 hours early, wearing like a black tie suit. It was so sweet. But we needed him, you know, really bad. And so that was really hard.
We had 4 hours. We had 4 hours to pull this off. It was a lot. It was a lot. And Shar, our production designer, who's not here,
She's amazing.
we gave her like 2 pennies and a half a penny.
I think that was
We're
a
like,
buy-in.
make a restaurant, you know. And she really just amazed us.
Yeah, that was the day that we knew we had a really badass crew, because we had like 2 more locations that day too. I mean, it was really a hard thing to do. Restaurants are tough, you know, they're open when you're shooting, so finding one on a budget is very difficult. It's really easy to solve problems in movies. Are all about problem solving. The easiest way to solve problems is with money. When you find that you don't have those resources, you kind of gotta, you know, there's always obstacles when you don't have money. And I don't know, there were lots of them going through. I mean, every phase of the film, you feel like it's this whole, you got to do it all over again. I mean, Heidi did a Kickstarter, you write the script, you go through labs, you know, then you're trying to raise more money, trying to get a cast. It's not just being on set, you know.
Yes.
And after the film's done, doing the cut, and, I don't know, we were just lucky with lots of people that stuck around for a long time.
That's great. One more question, and then because I know that we're probably should wrap it up, and I see yes right there.
You had some very nice location in LA. I wondered how you chose them. And the restaurant where he's a valet, is that nearby, or is that a real restaurant?
Oh, movie magic. Well, that's a parking lot in the valley of a gear company called Our Gear that were amazing, and it is, and it's right near Burbank Airport, and we were shooting while planes were going, and it just looks like a regular old parking lot if you go there, but they had this one wall that was ivy all along it.
No, that was Shar. Shar Production designed that.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
Shar Production designed all of this.
She brought in the walls.
She brought in
and
ivy.
we had swing walls on that helped make it look like a few swing walls of ivy plus a valet stand and a little key box. And yeah, that was a lot of movie magic. That and they moved it around and changing angles and making that valet look all different kind of ways. It was really amazing. We were there for 4 days, and yeah.
I'll admit, like the reservoir location was not permit approved. I don't think.
Yeah.
Is that near?
It's south of Los Feliz, north of Frogtown. If you're walking along the
Right off
river.
Riverside, right?
Yeah, we shot there because it's where I walk my dog, Milo, who played Mildy in the film. And my boyfriend Jeff was the puppy wrangler. Everyone helped. But I knew there were pigeons there because I walked there a lot. And so we, you know.
And the sandwich found significance for me later on in the film when you find out that the restaurant gives the valet sandwiches.
Oh my God, I didn't. Yes.
Oh, was that not intended?
No, I love that. Because that's true. I mean, I think as a director and a writer, you write these things and you don't always know where the connections are. But
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Quickly, if you just want to keep, each of you tell us what we can see you in next or what you're working on next, so we'll know how to keep track of you or where to find you on social media, since now we're all fans.
Dawn_EC is my Instagram if you want to follow me. My Milo's on there a lot, so it's cute. But I would like to make another film with Heidi, so that's what you can see me in next.
Great.
I have an episode in Counterpart where I have scenes with J.K. Simmons. It's a Starz TV show. It's starting soon. I was in another film by a great young woman called Maham Jamal. It's going to be called A Good Dream. I think it's finding its way into existence right now. It's being edited. Or what else? That's what I remember right now.
That's a lot. It's been launching out.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out what's next. I got a few films that we made already. One's called 9 Brides. that premiered at South by last
Matthew
year.
Cherry, any of
Matthew
you
Cherry.
away? Fancy it.
And that's played about 15 film festivals now, won 5 awards. It's going to play in Brooklyn.
That's great.
Coming up soon, which will be really fun. And I made a couple shorts that are about to come out. One called Flip the Record with Marie Jamora and Jason. Really beautiful film. It's kind of like a Filipino John Hughes film about DJing that I just love to death and was a passion project for all of us, and that's about to be shown really soon, which is exciting. And I did another short called The Thing About Us with a young woman named Keely Weiss, who worked for us on Namour right out of college, and then she went on to work for Joe Soloway, who ended up executive producing these short films we made that's going to be playing BFI Flair, it's basically the Outfest in the UK, coming up soon. We played Outfest this summer, so fun.
Yeah, and for me, I'm still have my day job, and I'm gonna be I'm writing 2 things. One is a television script, like many people, and the other one is a feature that I hope this one does, and maybe this one will do. We don't know. We'll see. But it's a period piece. It's 70s. It's Cairo. It's judo. So we'll see what happens.
That's thrilling. That's great. Well, I will leave you with one of my favorite insights from the film. There's, you think you're going to learn a lot about an immigrant culture when you're white chick watching a film about immigrants. But I learned something that I hope that we'll all think about. Actually, 2 things. One was, what do you see yourself doing in 5 years? And how she says that's such an American question. And I think that's really an interesting insight into our. We always think that we can plan ahead and we can be the masters of our own destiny. It's such an American arrogance, and I think it's worthy. And thank you for putting it in and pointing it out. And the other thing I'll leave you with, and a good night from us and Array, is you cannot talk while you pray. So, good night, everyone. Thank you for coming.